is good, Ninja? OJ over here from PlayerEssence, and welcome to the PE Nintendo Switch and Gaming News video. Today, we've got sales, and more sales with the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo is off to their best start since like 2011, or their best record sales performance. Man, there's just so much stuff to go over, but before we get into the articles here, there might be some repeat information just so we can get all of the facts straight. I want to make sure that I report this right, because I remember starting off with the Wii U. Man, I made so many mistakes when I reported what the Wii U sales were and what was going down with the profits and all that, just because so many different sites were reporting things wrong. So there will be some repeat information in there, and of course you guys can chime in the comment section below as far as what you guys have heard and all of that. So let's go ahead and get right into this here. So Nintendo's Q1 financial results puts the Nintendo Switch at 4.7 million units shipped total. So Nintendo's financial results for the first quarter, which covers April through June 2017, are now in. The latest data covers sales for the Nintendo Switch and 3DS, overall results for the company, and more. They've rounded up all the information here, so I'm not going to talk about everything, but they go over the net sales, the operating income, the profit, which Nintendo was at 190 million. Total Switch hardware sales are at 4.70 million. Total Switch software sales are at 13.60 million. Total 3DS hardware sales are at 67.08 million. Total 3DS software sales at 335.10 million. Total Wii U hardware sales are at 13.56 million, and total Wii U software is at 99.97 million. Now, total Switch hardware for the quarter was at 1.97 million, so they sold nearly 2 million units for that quarter. Switch software sales were at 8.14 million for the quarter, and then we'll go over 3DS hardware, which was at almost 1,950,000, and software at 5.85 million for the quarter. Nintendo also, in terms of their smart device and IP related income, over 9 million yen when it comes to smart device income. Now, they did make around 29.4 million from Pokemon Go. Nintendo made 81 million from smartphone games that aren't Pokemon Go. So pretty cool stuff as far as all of that is concerned. They talked about Fire Emblem Echo, Shadows of Valentia, and various other things. In addition to that, we've got some sales data for Nintendo's various games as far as their big hitters so far that they've released. Now remember, all of this data that you guys are going to be seeing until we get to Splatoon 2 has not been counted. So all of this that I've talked about so far as hardware sales, Nintendo Switch sales, all that is not counting Splatoon 2. It's not counting July at all. All it's counting is June. It's the cutoff date is June, okay guys? So just letting you guys know that. So Splatoon 2 sales are not countable. We're going to go over Splatoon 2 because that had a massive launch in Japan to the tune of over 600,000 units retail only. So yeah, pretty big there. But yeah, these numbers as far as Nintendo hardware, the 4.7 does not include the over 100,000 that Nintendo sold in Japan alone for Splatoon 2. So let's go over some of these sales. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is the top selling Nintendo Switch game at 3.92 million according to Nintendo. This does include digital sales, so nearly 4 million units for the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. That is absolutely insane on the install base that it has. That is absolutely insane. So Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the second best selling game with 3.54 million units. People love their portable Mario Kart, and yeah, that is very good because it launched a month and then some after The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So that is also very good. Now, 1-2 Switch, a game a lot of people were bashing, did not come with the system. Did not come with the system. People were saying that Nintendo should have bundled it with it. Yeah, that would have been a really bad business decision because it sold 1.22 million, and if you would have bundled it with it, you would have lost out because that game is $50, if I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that game is $50, so think about that, guys. Let's just do the math real quick here. If Nintendo would have bundled that with the Switch, even though the Switch is already selling, you know, amazingly, and then you had many people, and I have to do this, guys. I have to do this because I want to point out sometimes when people make these type of things and say Nintendo should do this when, no, it's not a good decision. So 1.22 million, let's just times it by 45. So that's $54,900,000. So 54 million, or over $54 million Nintendo has made on 1-2 Switch. That's just like a rough estimate, guys. And some people were saying it should have been bundled with it. No, it shouldn't have, because Nintendo would have been down $54 million plus if it wasn't. Now, here's another good thing, guys. ARMS, Nintendo's new IP, has already sold 1.18 million when you include digital sales very good for ARMS. Very happy that the game sold well. Really, all that we knew about ARMS when it came to it was just the Japanese sales, and then I know we didn't get much from the NPD. Yeah, we did get NPD, so it came out to like 200-something thousand, and then Europe, we didn't really get the sales for that. So download sales must have been pretty big for ARMS as well, or sales had to have been picking up even after launch as more people got the game, because that's very impressive that the game has sold 1.18 million units just by the end of June. Remember guys, the game came out, I think mid-June the game came out, and these sales are not all the way up until this point. These sales are till the end of June. So the fact that it sold 1.18 million in that small of time bodes very well for the franchise going forward, and is easily one of the highest selling fighting game franchises out there, especially to start out. I mean, that is amazing, especially in this day that it can sell that much on this install base, a fighting game. Insane. So happy to hear that ARMS is doing well for Nintendo, and of course the Nintendo Switch. Alright, so let's move on to the next article here. So Splatoon 2 sold 670,955 units within the first 3 days in Japan. The first 3 days. And that is compared to the game's original debut of 156,610 units. So Splatoon 2 did sell that much in its first 3 days, according to Famitsu. Okay, these are not the media create, which most people use. Famitsu's charting this, making it the biggest debut for a Nintendo Switch title and the highest selling Switch title to date in Japan on the first 3 days. Outsold Legend of Zelda and Mario Kart already. Absolutely insane. The number includes physical copies, download cards, and Splatoon 2 Switch hardware bundles, but does not include digital sales. So the download cards that you go buy from the store, or you go buy on like Amazon or something like that, or probably just you go buy from the store. I don't think this is tracking Amazon sales. So yeah, but it doesn't include digital sales, where Splatoon 2 is easily #1 and somewhat broke the eShop. So it's very likely that Splatoon 2 sold nearly 1 million units, probably 800,000 plus in Japan in those first 3 days, and it might have already broke that by next week. It might have broke seriously like 1 million units when you include everything, which is absolutely insane. Like, that is just easily Nintendo's biggest franchise, or at least becoming one of Nintendo's biggest franchises that might rival Zelda probably by the end of the year. Seriously, it's getting that big for Splatoon 2, especially in Japan. Now, in comparison, like we talked about, 156,000 units for the original Wii U launch, and that was with an install base of over 2 million for the Wii U in Japan. So Splatoon 2 absolutely slaughtered Splatoon 1 when it comes to that. Absolutely slaughtered that, and yeah, the lifetime sales for Splatoon 1 in Japan are at 1.5 million, and the Nintendo Switch version, as far as Splatoon 2, is nearing that. Not too far off. I think it'll probably get there in the next few weeks. So it's absolutely insane. Splatoon 2 launched on July 21st. Famitsu is putting Nintendo Switch hardware sales in Japan at 1.2 million. So to be precise, 1,205,087 units total. So the 5-month period from March 3rd to July 23rd, that's where the sales are at as far as Japan alone. And remember, we still don't have worldwide sales for what Nintendo Switch has done up until this point. Pretty sure that it's cracked 5 million, especially with them saying that there's over 100,000 in just this week alone for Japan, and that is easily one of the Nintendo Switch's best months since launch, obviously in Japan, just because there hasn't been stock. There has been major stock issues in Japan, and Nintendo was able to deliver as far as getting that many units. And I said that before, and I was like, hey, they're going to need at least 100,000 of these things as far as sales go, just to kind of stock up and get ready for that launch. And Nintendo did deliver a bit on that with over 100,000 Nintendo Switches sold. Probably could have sold more if they even had more stock, but what can you do? What can you do with the stock issues with Apple and all that? So really cool to see this. Really happy to see Splatoon 2 doing very well, and this definitely bodes well for Nintendo going forward in the future. Obviously, you want to see IPs do better, and hopefully with the support that they're getting, they can improve the game. They can improve some of the downfalls as far as what they're doing with their online and other things like that. But overall, this is definitely positive news. We're getting tons of great sales data for Nintendo, and a lot of people who were hating on Nintendo saying that pretty much the system was going to flop, that Nintendo doesn't know what they're doing, they should stop making hardware. I think this proves that Nintendo, one, knows what they're doing, and two, should not stop making hardware, because the type of hardware that the Nintendo Switch is, the other companies aren't going to make this type of thing. They're not going to sacrifice what Nintendo had to sacrifice in order to make this type of device. So Nintendo is definitely doing a good job there, and I'm super stoked to see going forward in the future, because this is Nintendo's best results as far as profit-wise since 2011, like I mentioned there. So Nintendo has a lot of different plans. I'm pretty sure that there's so many different games in development. There's a lot of surprises. The momentum is going to continue. That's what I'm trying to say here. The momentum is going to continue, and I do think that these major releases, as far as the sales go, it's outpacing Wii U really bad at this point. Some people I saw like in the comment section saying, "Oh, haven't broke 5 million yet by June. Oh, that's not good." What kind of stupidity is that, especially when comparing it to the 3DS and comparing it to the Nintendo Switch and comparing it to the Wii U? The Nintendo Switch is doing amazing by the end of June, and like I said, it didn't count the 100,000 units in Japan alone for this week, so the Switch is easily over 5 million units at this point if you consider worldwide sales. And by the end of the year, if Nintendo has the stock, it could potentially beat Wii U, because the total sales of the Wii U are at 13.56 million. So if Nintendo has the stock with Super Mario Odyssey and Xenoblade, and of course all the lineup that they already have, Fire Emblem and everything like that, by the end of the year, if they have the stock, they could potentially beat the Wii U's lifetime to date sales in the first year. And some people are trying to say that, oh, this isn't good. You're absolutely insane. I can debate anybody on that matter there. Anyone who wants to say that the Switch isn't doing well at this point, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. This is a great start for Nintendo, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in the future as far as their games, and of course the software sales and hardware sales and all of that. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We've got Facebook, we've got Twitter. Give us a like and a follow on our social media. It really helps to spread the content of PlayerEssence across the interwebs in addition to YouTube. Also make sure you check out our Patreon page. Pledge any tier. Be entered to win some awesome prizes each month. In addition to that, we have Discord voice chat and $10 prize eShop tournaments for ARMS, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Splatoon, and more. So support PE Live and PE Arena right here on PlayerEssence. Also make sure you hit that like button if you did like this video. Lets me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for the latest news, reviews, discussions, and more. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you ninja for the next video. Peace.